try to answer it as as it comes. It's been yeah. I mean, I was like driving home and I got a notification and I was like, I'm in traffic. Might as well check it. And I go to check it only to find that indeed Donald Trump has been convicted on 34 counts. That is crazy. That is nuts to me. I'm just like curious, like what all the Trump supporters are thinking right now. They're like, "Oh, it's all rigged. The justice system is rigged." Guaranteed. How much you want to bet that they're gonna come on up, Daniel? You can just join. You're a moderator, right? Yeah.
Dude, I know I can join, but it's like it's your thing, man.
Hey, man, you can. As
I'm
long as you're
trying.
not
I'm
interruptive, I'm
being.
sure you're fine.
So wait a second. Is like is this like news right now happening or
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the
No,
hell?
he just got convicted.
Holy shit.
He literally just
Okay.
got convicted. So like,
Wait a second. Does that mean like jail time and everything,
I
or
have I don't know. I don't know if that
because it
means he has to
should,
wear
right?
he has to wear a bracelet.
Oh, oh my god.
I have no idea what it
Oh
means.
my
Sierra
god.
Nevada just said sentencing 7/11 of 2024. All right, so he's
Oh
not
my
being
god.
sentenced like right away. They're gonna
I
give him
mean,
a little. They're gonna give him a little bit of
yeah.
a little bit, right, to work off of. Which is that's
I mean, wait.
this
That's
is
like American time format. I'm
I
assuming
yeah. I mean,
it's
I
till
don't.
the 11th
This
of
is right
July,
before
right?
the RNC. LOL.
Oh,
This
July
boy's
11th.
going to
Okay.
jail, bro.
Oh my god. Okay. So look, question. I mean, you probably know the answer, but do you think that's gonna stop him from being the candidate for the Republican Party, or Republicans just like voting for him?
So Daniel, the thing is that I have no idea how Republicans are going to react to this. I think some of them will likely not vote for him, and then others will be like, "No, I'm voting for him even harder." MAGA great
I mean,
again.
yes. I don't know exactly what voting
Like
harder means, but yeah,
I'm
I
gonna vote
understand it.
even harder. So like
Yeah.
instead of their number two pencil, they get two number two pencils.
Okay. I mean, dude,
They're voting even
that's
harder
pretty
for
big.
Trump. Yeah, I
I
mean
remember there
it's a
was
huge
a
screw up.
candidate
Like,
for presidency that was in jail at one point, right? I think
I
it was like
mean,
a socialist candidate, like some while ago.
Sierra Nevada says the thing is, this was probably the weakest of all four cases against him. Too. That is freaking nuts. And there's 34 convictions. What is he convicted of
But
again?
there's a
I
difference
don't even
between
know
them.
what he's convicted of. I just know it's 34 counts of like the hush money trial,
Yeah, I mean it's fraud and
falsifying. Oh yeah, the
electoral,
falsifying
yeah,
business
falsifying
records.
electoral,
Yes,
like whatever
yes, that I am aware
money
of.
thingy.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that is crazy, man.
yeah. I mean, I don't know how to say. Like U.S.
So, do you think like
politics
the
are
right
getting
wingers
crazier.
are like? Do you think that they're like? Uh, do you think they're upset at the justice system? They're all about that rule of law up until the rule of law happens.
I mean, sorry, but I saw a lot of clips from like Fox News where they were like constantly just bashing on the police, on the justice system. They're all like about the law and order until that law
Until
and
it
order
goes
is
after their
applying
own
to
team.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
it's
order,
like
law and order for
stupid.
ye, not for me. You know,
Of course,
law for you, and
of
so I can
course.
have my order.
Are you
That's
asking
all.
Republicans to be consistent? Stop. I'm getting a
Yeah,
chubby.
that's a bit too much. Never do that. Oh man. That's okay. So that's interesting.
Your boy
It's a
screwed
nice
up,
way to go
man.
to sleep for
Your
me.
boy screwed up. He screwed up. What do you
Not my
want,
boy,
man?
but
He's screwed up. It's over.
oh, it's crazy. The only thing is like, because I was about to say, like, I feel like this case is a bit different than the others, though, because the others are kind of stuck in some sort of limbo, especially since
Hmm.
the Supreme Court kind of took the case about whether or not he has immunity for doing illegal things while
Yeah.
president,
Yeah.
which is a weird thing to do as a Supreme Court. I mean, that should never be even a question that the Supreme Court should address. It's like,
For sure.
how can you say in a democracy it's okay to do illegal things as long as you're president?
Well, so like,
I
I
don't
mean
really
that
get it.
it is a Supreme Court thing. Let's go. I'll invite Sierra as well. Come on up, Sierra. How you doing, Sierra?
What's up, dude?
Hey, how you doing,
Yeah,
buddy?
so pretty good. So like the Supreme Court case, it's not really a question of like whether or not because like the president obviously has like wide deference in his position to commit to like do things that, otherwise if you and I committed like did those things, they would probably be considered illegal. But the question is like the illegal things that he did, right? Specifically concerning like the Jack Smith January 6th election fraud allegation case, whatever that case
That one's
official
bad.
United States versus Donald J. Trump. In that case, the question is like the things that he did he do them in his official capacity as president of the United States, or did he do those in an unofficial capacity as a political candidate, right?
I love how this
Well,
happens as soon
yes
as my
and
stream
no.
starts. Like, this is freaking
Do
crazy.
you remember, like, there was a question where, like, Ketanji Brown Jackson, I think, asked the Trump's lawyer or something about the fact that whether or not he would be, if he would have SEAL Team 6 or whatever, like, kill his political opponent, would that be okay or
Yeah.
not? And
I
like
listened
his
to
lawyer was
all of
saying,
them.
like, yeah, I mean that would be okay because he's president. So it's like, wait a second, that
I mean, it kind of.
sounds like
I mean
it
that
wouldn't be okay.
that is kind of how it goes, though. And like they have like a level of immunity.
Yeah, but I mean that's political assassinations. Like literally, it's like what would stop him from just killing every political opponent that he
Yeah, I
has?
mean, like I'm
Ever.
worried about like Project 2025. Like that is a
Well,
giant
that's a big
concern to
thing.
me.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like
I think it's one of the
I don't want Donald
biggest
Trump
threats.
anywhere close to like having a seat of power. Like I really don't.
But I haven't seen many people in the US like again it's based on my what I consume, like being like really talking a lot about it and being really concerned about the Project 2025 because I
So,
feel that paper is it's like insane.
It is.
yeah, so honestly, Project 2025 is like really scary in theory, but when you really look at like the position that the Republican Party is in right now, like their ability to get like anything done
Yeah, I
like
mean I know,
administratively or
but
legislatively is like pretty
you know,
dubious to begin with. To think that they'd have like the ability to accomplish these kinds of ambitious goals, I don't really think that they're capable of doing that, to be honest. Doesn't mean it's not scary or concerning because it definitely is. But like, I mean, they're it's kind of worthless, right? They can't do anything. So like, I'm
Like
not
with
that
you
worried
think
about it
with
in
Project
practice.
2025, like you don't think that there's anything that they could do about it?
I'm sure that like
I mean
if
as far as
Trump
I know
is
they're
elected
making a
again,
base of
Like
people
like the
that
goal is
will
to
be
like
part of
yeah,
that.
exactly. That's what I'm like concerned about. Like I don't like that
Because
idea. That prospect is
yeah,
extremely dangerous. That could literally end
my
like
problem is just that
democracy as
they
we know
wrote it
it.
down. It's
no,
not
I
just
for
that they
sure I
wrote it
agree
down;
with
they're
that.
actually being active about it. They're like
Yeah,
literally
I
like
agree with
they're
that.
creating
I'm
this
just
database of people. Like they're literally interviewing people, and like the first question they're asking is like, "How loyal are you to Donald Trump?" It's like, what
yeah. Do
the
you
hell?
think the
What is that
2020
question?
election was legit, right? And if you say yes, then
Yeah,
you're like automatically disqualified, which is
exactly.
insane,
Horrendous.
unhinged.
It's freaking what a joke.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's definitely scary in theory, but like, when I just look at Trump's previous tenure as president, and like he and his administration in general was just like, obviously they threw monkey wrenches here and there into big shit that was like really damaging, but like overall, it was just kind of incompetent and inept in their ability to do anything, like even according to their own logic,
Hmm.
Yeah,
right?
but isn't this the difference though? Because right now, what I think it happened is like last time when he won in 2016, I don't think like some of the people from like the Heritage Foundation and so on, I don't think they actually thought that he's going to win, right? It's like nobody really thought that he was going to win. He was such a dark horse, right? And it's just because like Hillary was so incompetent and you know he won. And I feel like the whole thing was a bit weird, right? Because they weren't really expecting it, and there was nothing in place, and he kind of winged it, right? The whole time. He literally just winged like his whole presidency, one way or another.
Yeah.
And now what they're doing, like with this project 2025, is like, you know what?
Oh my
It's like we should
God.
never be unprepared when these things happen. So that's
Yeah.
what I think this whole thing is. I feel like they're literally putting all this thing in place just so they're really prepared this time. And yeah, I mean that's what kind of makes it a bit scary in my opinion.
What I'm really interested in now, given like this news
Oh,
that
shit.
just broke, is to follow. I'm really interested to see, like in the coming weeks, how polling numbers change, if at all, right?
Yeah, I mean
I mean
Biden is kind of fucking
is it
himself with
is it possible
yeah.
that like do you think that the polling numbers could go up as a result? Like that would
more
just
in
be
his favor?
insane. Yeah, like that could actually like
I don't
like
think
how
so.
psychotic are people? Like
I
how
think all
dumb
the
are people?
Well, I don't think he's getting any new. Like, I think that the super sycophantic MAGA
Hey Lion,
people,
thanks for the
like,
subscribe. Thank you very much.
I think the super sycophantic MAGA people may become, well, not maybe, they will become more entrenched by this. But I don't think
You
he's
think
winning any new. I don't think he's winning any new people, right? Like if like you're not. There's nobody who wasn't on board or like was on the fence about Trump who's now on board because of this, right?
Yeah, it's just the undecided, right? That are that's the thing, and for me that's what I feel it's the biggest thing is like, what will the undecided do? Are they going to look at Trump and him being actually convicted,
and
like,
be
and
like maybe
this
the
is not like
justice
a
system
civil,
is
yeah,
against Donald Trump or
yeah, this is not a
you
civil
know
lawsuit, right? I mean,
like
this is fraud, right? It's like
yeah.
this is
It's
big.
these are felony
Okay,
counts, yeah.
yeah. So what are they going to do? Are they going to look at Trump and say, holy shit, it's like I can't vote for somebody that's literally like a felon, right? I mean, he's a criminal. Like literally that now he's a
It's just
criminal.
just crazy at this
That's what
Officially,
it
point.
is.
yeah.
Or it's like, am I looking at Biden and it's like his Gaza thing, and it's like seeing, holy shit, it's like literally this guy is participating in the genocide, and it's like not doing anything to stop it and everything.
Mind
Like,
you, right? Like he's
I think it's weird.
they're cutting off support and aid to Israel because of how blatant they are about it.
Well, not yet,
Like they're
but
not
yeah.
they are. They have literally been talking to Netanyahu about that very thing. So like
Yeah, I mean they've been talking. That's why I'm saying they haven't really done anything
no,
yet.
they
I
have.
mean,
They have.
not
Like
as far as
remember
I
when
heard.
all those rocket strikes were coming in on Israel?
Not like that. You need to get your armor off.
Huh?
Get your armor off.
Oh
Get your armor
Jesus!
off.
Don't
So
fucking stop backseat gaming me.
Yeah.
Just
come
let
on,
me
it's an easy jump. It's like, what do you mean? You just need to do it properly, and you're gonna get on top. It's an easy jump. You just need to get your armor off.
I
It's
have
the
no
best
health.
way.
I need health. I need health.
Doesn't matter. It's like you're not gonna
rest.
die there.
I'm gonna go
Like,
rest.
okay. But
Anyway,
you're not gonna die there. There's nothing to. Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird. I feel like it's kind of an impossible position the American public is put in, voting between one guy that's literally a criminal and another guy that's just like yeah,
I mean,
participating
like
in a
I don't
honestly,
think
genocide.
like
that's
which
a
one would
difficult
you end up
position at
voting
all.
for? Like, do you think that you would
Well,
vote
obviously,
for?
it's like you have to vote strategically. I don't think. Look, people don't have, and people should never vote for the person. You're never voting just for Biden. You're never voting just for Trump. You're voting strategically, right? Like
Yeah.
this kind of votes in America have to be strategic, and you have to look at what am I also voting for? Because you're not just voting for Biden and not just voting for Trump. You're voting for all the people that are gonna come with them, right? The entire administration, basically. So when you're looking like for the regular folk, and right, you look at the NLRB, and I think like just the NLRB is like way better for when it comes to Biden and Biden's administration. You're looking into antitrust, which again is kind of starting to ramp up again after a very very long time when it's like it wasn't enforced properly in the U.S. So yeah, you should again
Yeah.
should vote for Biden. Like a lot of other things, right? Even if you're looking like the economic accomplishments, like during Trump and then during Biden, Biden is like a clear winner on that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's just people like in the administration that are hardworking people that actually want to do shit. They want to accomplish things. And this happens all the time. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
whenever looking at democratic administrations versus Republican administration. I mean, look, you could look at Congress right now. You look at Congress. It's like what is the not the Senate, the other one, House of Representatives, right? It's like
Yeah.
the House is just a joke under this Republican administration. They've literally done nothing.
Yeah.
It's like they started like this impeachment, which is like they had their star witness that was actually arrested, and it's like he's again like being tried for like fucking treason and everything. So it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like they didn't do anything. So, but again, like Biden to me seems like the kind of guy that's always for like, oh, bipartisan, reach across the aisle, like, and that doesn't work with Republicans. I feel because
But
Republicans
it
will
didn't.
just
But
get
it already
anything here.
worked. I mean, most of
Did it?
Biden's biggest legislative victories in his term so far have been bipartisan in nature.
They have been. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I
yes,
mean,
but I
like
feel like
the
he could
way
have
that
done
you
them
get
without
the way
the
that you get
bipartisan
things
stuff.
the way that you get things passed in the United States is you have to approach it from a bipartisan angle. And so it's hard to pass a legislation if you're just exclusively on one side. You have to like give concessions realistically to get any
Yeah, but
pragmatic
realistically,
policy done.
Republicans never do that. So I don't know. It's like how
Well,
realistic is to
it doesn't
say.
matter if Republicans do it or not. The question is
Yeah, but
whether
they
or not
always
you
get their
pass
way, right?
legislation. No, they don't always get their way.
Kind of.
Well, they didn't
I mean,
get
let's be
they
honest,
didn't they
especially
didn't
when you're
get
looking at the
they,
Supreme Court.
they didn't get their president Donald Trump.
Well, I mean,
They got
that's
Biden.
what I'm saying is like every time they're getting their like power in Congress. It's like if they have the votes, they never do bipartisan shit. It's like they're
Well,
no.
yeah, I
It's like,
understand that because
so
they're not
when you're running
smart.
towards it, you see that big, yeah. It's like that's why you have to do it, but just with like the small thing, like the
Speak-
small root.
Speaking of which, I read Christy Noem's book.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yes, I heard.
Think of that.
It's bad.
It's
It's
No,
amazing.
okay, so there's like a couple of parts. Honestly, like at the end, it's not that bad. Like honestly, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't think Christy Noem's a bad person. I just think they're just like they're not like they're misguided. They cause harm on society by being misguided. And so like one thing that is like that she did, and she talked about this in her book, was saying that North Dakota, wait, was it South Dakota or North Dakota?
It is South Dakota.
South Dakota. Yeah, South Dakota. They voted to have to allow marijuana, right? And they voted yes on that, and Kristi Noem single-handedly went and fought against it on the basis of constitutional grounds. They were arguing the legislation, saying that it was unconstitutional. I'm not fucking with you. She basically took the will of the people and was just like, will of the people, will of my dick. Like, go fuck yourself.
I mean, like honestly, it's like when you're reading something like
Like,
that,
what am I
how can you
supposed to
then
do?
go ahead and say she's not a bad person? No,
Well,
she's
okay.
a bad person.
Okay, I'm saying that that's like the worst thing that I heard her say, right? And it's like honestly, she's not like she's just like dumb. Like, I don't know, she's just dumb, and she just does dumb. I don't think she's a bad person, but I think she's just does dumb things. Does that make sense?
I don't. I mean, I like, as you know, Amender, I'm originally from like that part of the country, and I think
You're from
just
South
like
Dakota?
I'm from North Dakota.
Okay.
The best Dakota. God put us on top. All right.
Okay,
Because
got
we're
it.
better.
That's how that works.
So
Yeah.
you mean like South Dakotans are like bottoms or something?
Yeah,
Got
they're
it.
bottoms. We top them. We're literally
Clear
on top of
bottoms.
them. Look at a map. But I don't know. I think I'm allowed to say this because like I'm actually from there, so I'm not like some big city liberal who's just shitting on like the common folk of the Midwest or whatever.
Mhm.
But like I don't know. I think like it's just different up there, and like it's pretty easy to grow up in that kind of like bubble and just really not ever have to
Edgelord
learn
is
or know
requesting to
about how like
speak. I'll go ahead and bring him up.
the economy or anything works, right? Because like you kind of don't live in the real world.
Oh, bless your heart, man. Bless your heart for inviting me.
Bless your heart.
No problem.
How are you doing today?
Good.
Are you fine?
I just thought that was crazy. Like the whole thing, everything. It's just been pretty crazy.
I mean, something has been like in the news about like that people are marching up to Washington, or what is it?
What? No, Donald Trump was convicted.
I know.
Oh yeah, are there gonna be
I
like
mean, what is it? What has happened
marches
now? Do you
and
guys
I-
have the civil war?
I really,
or?
really hope not. I hope not, for the
Oh,
sake
man.
of like America and everything it stands for. Like, I don't think Donald Trump should
what
be
does
immune
America
of
stand
like,
for?
huh?
What
The
does America
Constitution of
stand
the United States of America.
for? I'm
you know?
joking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be interesting to see. It's like how like the because I haven't really seen like people like a lot of people being there for the for the trial in New York. They were like outside the courthouse. So I don't know how big his constituency is like in New York. How many people actually are willing to sacrifice their time to do rallies in New York and everything.
It's just crazy, this whole thing.
And like I said too, I mean,
Yeah,
it's really
yeah.
interesting because, like, in my opinion, this case is probably the least significant and weakest case against him. So setting the precedent of like, yes, a jury will fucking like convict him on all counts.
Hmm.
I don't know.
That's like
I'm,
crazy. That's
I'm
like,
wondering. I
I
know,
mean,
like,
to
but
be
I
fair
feel
though,
like that
like
kind of gives
usually
indication
when
how the other
things go to a
cases go.
trial, you what happens is that the the prosecutors, what they're interested in is making sure that whatever happens is convicted, right? Because if it's not convicted, it's a giant waste of time, right? So
Especially one against Trump, like the
so
former
yeah.
president.
So what they're gonna do is they're gonna do their homework. They're gonna do a lot of homework to make sure that a person gets convicted, and so that's kind of why conviction rates are like almost guaranteed when you're like as guilty in a trial. Like 90% of trials end with a guilty verdict. So I mean, obviously, they're going to do everything in their power to lay down the evidence, and they're going to tell the jury that you need to like look at the evidence, not who this person is. I know they're Donald Trump, but you need to look at it in terms of like the evidence, and you need to deliberate whether or not that they broke the law. It has nothing to do that it's Donald Trump, right? Just imagine it's a random person, which I'm in agreement with. And I guarantee you that's what happened with the jury. And they just convicted him on 34 counts.
Yeah, I mean this is crazy. I will need to hear to
Unanimous.
read. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's crazy. Because
I was
I was
concerned,
even
actually.
thinking at some point, yeah, it's like just get one of them. That's like like a die-hard Trump, and it's not going to
That's what I was thinking. I was
fuck
like,
the entire trial. And
that's exactly what I was thinking. And in fact, there was a person who said that they got their news from Truth Social. And I was just like, wait,
Yeah.
this one like juror got like a trial from or they get their information from Truth Social. Like that's not a viable like I was concerned that the guy was just like super brainwashed and was going to like cause a hung trial. Glad it was deliberated on within like 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
No, so like here's the thing, right? I'm sorry,
okay,
maybe not
that's how-
30 minutes. Guarded Logic says, "Hey, good show. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it." And anybody who's like in an audience or whatever, help my algorithm out by commenting on the YouTube channel. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Where was I?
I have a question after that.
What?
When you're done, go ahead.
So I was concerned that it was going to result in a hung trial because of that. But so I remember that like I was reading Associated Press, right? Or I'm sorry, I was reading Reuters, and it said like 30 minutes ago, like jury trial and deliberation, right? A few hours go by, right? Just like maybe 2.5, 3 hours go by. And then shortly after, I get an announcement from another Discord that is also caught up on politics saying that Trump has been convicted within 3 hours. I'm like,
that's crazy,
bro, that did not take a lot of time. That didn't take a lot of effort. They were able to figure that out right away. That's fucking nuts.
I mean, that's my question here. I mean, are you guys really able to grant him like a fair trial
Chicken
with
is
a
requesting to
jury
speak.
by the
Gonna invite
by
him
the
to
fact
speak.
like that a lot of people are influenced?
Come on up, chicken. Welcome to the
Hey,
show.
what up, ho?
Hey man, pull up my YouTube channel. Pull up my YouTube channel and help out my algorithm, bro. You gotta pull it
Alright.
up. Just you can
like
have
that.
it muted or whatever, because obviously you're involved now. But yeah, it helps me out.
Oh, you too. Oh,
I
I
really
found it.
appreciate it.
All right, I'm there. What do I got? Oh, alive. I see.
Yeah, man.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, here we are.
So
Yeah, give it a like.
isn't that
give
crazy?
It a subscribe.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's crazy to me that this has happened, and I'm just like kind of, I don't know if I want to say ecstatic. I'm not ecstatic. It's probably not the word. I'm glad justice was served, right? Or at least a semblance of justice was served. There's portions where like when it comes to the Supreme Court, it could absolutely be packed for like right wing or left wing. And I think that's like really a giant problem. And when it comes to the actual like the justice system in terms of like the courts themselves, it's actually pretty solid. Like, hot take, it's actually solid. And I, by the way, I get my information because I was a juror twice, and it's like it's a lot more.
I think you're
like,
overrating the justice system.
really, you
in
think so?
the
No.
US.
Okay, so
Yeah.
police is fucked, right? There's
No, the
there's
justice
parts
system.
of
I feel like even the courts.
you think
I think
you
it
think
very
the
much
courts are
depends.
bad.
Yeah, I'm
it depends
also
on the
not a big
courts.
fan. I'm also not a big fan. I mean, we have civil law in most of the European states, which means like we are more interested in the personal rights of the people than of the society. And what I'm
Guarded
really
Logic
thinking
says
is like,
this is about
do you
Trump. Karma be
really
haunting him.
grant? I mean, do you could really grant it like that he got a fair trial? I mean, like, I'm not a big fan of him, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, he was just hated by people or not hated by people, and they were kind of not in between.
Yeah, so like
I mean,
when it
he's
comes
hated, but yeah.
like I said, like what I was saying earlier, when it comes to any of these kinds of deliberations, the reality is that like they likely told the jurors, you know, hey, we understand that this is Donald Trump, but you need to deliberate it based on the facts, not whether or not that you like or dislike Donald Trump. It should have nothing to do with your decision. You need to look at the facts of the case and then come to your deliberation, right? And
yeah, I know that.
the
I
fact
know
it
that,
only
but
took a few hours is just nuts
that's
to me.
not granting
That is
anything.
crazy.
That's not granting anything, bro. I mean, like, I could also like tell you like you have to like deliberate and like stand back from every point of view of your personal thing. You have to act in that way. Doesn't mean that you're not getting tempted.
Sure. Well, they clearly didn't get tempted because he's convicted.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear, right?
Now, what
no
I
I
mean,
mean, I gotta say,
temptation.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, even when you got told to like act in the interest of the law, act in the way of all the things you got told for, doesn't mean in the end that you act like that.
I'm just saying
I mean,
that, like,
but that's why there's 12 of them too, right? And I think that for these charges or the jury's decisions, do they have to be unanimous, right?
Yes, it has to be.
So I
Yes.
mean, like even if what you're saying, Magnus, is somewhat true, I mean, like the fact that there are 12 of them and they all have to come to a consensus on it,
And quickly.
I would at least hope, I would argue, and I would hope that like
Why
that
do they
kind
do-
of
why is it-
mitigates
Why is
sort
it
of,
saying
like,
message
bias.
retracted for guarded logic? That didn't even look like a problematic thing. Is this thing like auto filtering?
mean-
Probably.
Or is that guarded
far-
logic? Or is that guarded logic removing it? Let me. It shouldn't be doing that, but I don't know. Freaking YouTube's weird sometimes. Let me edit it. See what I can do here. Cause like clearly, like you're. Let me take a look. Hold on 1 second. Show more. Gotta.
Well, I think because okay, so guarded logic is asking about Israel.
Comments
Yes.
and strings. Choose how you want to.
Like, do you think Trump will be safe so long as he's good with Israel? Well,
All right, I just turned. Okay, there. I just turned off. Yeah, I just turned off. Do you
No, he
think
said
Trump?
he removed it.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see. I see what you're saying. All right, cool. Anyway, it says, do you think Trump will be safe so long as he is good with Israel?
Well, APAC is going to
I
be
don't
rooting for
think.
him.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, the guy is now officially convicted. I mean, like, I don't think, Sierra, where did you get the information that they're that the sentencing trial is in July?
Yeah, like everybody's reporting on that. CNN, NPR, CBS.
Okay, all right, cool.
like,
Yeah, so it is July for sure.
yeah,
Okay.
It's a while, right?
10 a.m.
For the
even.
sentencing?
They even have the
Yes.
time set 10 a.m.
So he's basically free to go until that point. Is that how that works?
I'm not sure, actually.
I mean, is he free to go?
Like,
I don't think
Might
he's
have,
free
like,
to
a-
go. I think
Might
he
have,
will
like, a
go.
bracelet on him.
does
I
he go to
guess.
jail?
Yeah,
At minimum, there's a bracelet.
I don't think
There's a
Trump is
bracelet
like
involved, bro. The
Well, I
idea
mean,
of just
like-
his ass wearing one of those bracelets just freaking it just makes me giddy.
Well, I mean,
somewhere,
usually,
somewhere,
right,
at least he's
like,
gonna have
you know, I'm
interdiction
gonna-
to leave the country.
I'm gonna show my
Right.
partisan self and say I'm a little giddy at it because it's like this had been coming to him for years, and it's like finally something
The Teflon
happens.
Don.
Yeah.
I mean, usually I think like
crazy.
when you're convicted and you're awaiting sentencing, what they do with you in the meantime is like it depends on whether or not they consider you to be a flight risk, and I don't think that Trump is a flight risk, right?
What? He has access to a private jet. How is he not a flight
Yeah, but
risk?
he's
Yeah,
trying
but
to
he's
like,
with,
he's running for president. He's like
yeah.
a high profile figure. I mean, like I don't think he's
You know who else ran for president and was a
But
flight
honestly,
risk?
if he flees-
Fucking John
if he
McAfee.
If he flees the country, you
That's
know, I
also
mean,
true.
like, hey,
You remember that?
Yeah.
Well,
oh my
I mean,
god, that
like,
guy
if
was
he-
crazy.
That guy was psychotic, dude. Anyway.
if he flees the country, you know, I mean, like, hey, sometimes problems solve themselves, I guess.
Red Bag says,
I
I
mean, do they?
actually think Israel is based. I don't like what they're
I don't know
doing to the Palestinians. Not a big fan. I know, hot take, but yeah, not a big fan of
Yeah,
that.
I don't know about base. I just think that we can criticize Israel without like going to super extreme claims about what they're doing. I don't know if
it's
you want to
just,
get into that super hardcore, but what they're doing can be bad in a lot of ways and historically bad without it being like, you know, the big G word.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a.
the thing is, I think it is the big G word. That's the problem.
What do you mean?
I don't think so.
What do you mean, big G word? What do you mean?
Genocide.
Genocide. Like, are they genociding
yeah.
the Palestinians?
I think so.
Well, the
I
Gaza.
think I can.
Really?
Yeah, I think I can safely say that at this point. Yeah.
So you think that they're acting with the highly special intent to destroy in whole or in part like,
Yes.
the ethnic identity of Palestinians?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
And why
that
aren't
appears to
they
be the
doing
case.
that with? Why aren't they doing that with the? I mean, the obvious question to ask though is like, if that's the case, then why are they not starting with like the 20% of their own citizenry that's Palestinian Arab?
That's not a valid.
Well, they are in the
response,
West
though.
Bank. They're specifically going into homes and pulling them out, and they're didn't they put them into like a town that specifically like they just bombed like recently, Rafah.
No, that's
They like
that's
forced
Rafah.
them all
Yeah,
into
yeah.
Rafah, saying that they would be safe, and then they bombed Rafah.
Well, that's not the West. You were talking about the West
That's not the
Bank.
West Bank,
but
that's
Rafah's
Gaza.
No,
not the
no.
West
That's
Bank.
this is Gaza Strip. But like they were told to go, like they were literally told by Israel, go to Rafah. You know, you'll be safe there. They were guaranteed safety, and then they bombed Rafah.
No,
Like, what-
they
Yeah,
were
but
What?
never-
Sierra's
they were never-
claim
never-
was like, just a second, Sierra. So Sierra's claim was
Okay.
like, if they're doing a genocide in Gaza, how come they're not starting with the 20% Arab population?
I mean, who's to say that they don't? Like,
in
why
Israel?
couldn't
But
they?
that's
Because they
that's
don't.
We're basically
irrelevant.
second-class
But that's
citizens
irrelevant.
already. It's already
No,
at
but
that
that's
point.
that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant regardless. It's
And
like, it
also,
doesn't
by the
matter.
way,
It's like,
it doesn't even. Yeah, that's correct. It doesn't even have to be in whole. It just has to be in part.
yeah.
So,
No, but
like,
it's irrelevant. It's
well,
like saying it's like,
the
oh, how come
relevant
you're
part-
saying no, just a second. It's like, how come you're saying it's like, oh, it's like they're genociding these people here. Well, if it's a genocide, why? How come they're not genociding these people everywhere? It's like,
because it
yes,
speaks to
that's not the point.
Because it speaks to the highly special intent, right? Because if you're acting
Yeah, but
according
the intent
to a
is the
highly
important
special
part.
right? Because like yeah, it is kind of like it's not the like there are other points to be made, but like the point of me bringing that up is that I would argue that it speaks to the alleged highly special intent, right? Because if Israel is acting specifically according to a highly special intent to destroy the Palestinian identity, then I feel like it would stand the reason that their
But it's not about
objective
the
would be to
identity.
destroy that wherever it exists, right? Including like in their own borders, right?
No, not
Because if they're
necessarily.
not doing that and they're instead engaging in military action specifically in Gaza, then like what's so special about Gaza? Because there's Palestinian Arabs all over the
Okay,
place.
are you familiar with the war in Bosnia, like the Bosnian war?
Like a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
I'm
So
gonna go
there
with
was like
no.
this. Yeah. So like this big war like in Bosnia, right, and Herzegovina.
Guarded Logic
And
says,
in
I
that
think
war-
Arabs living in Israel are living worse than Iranian Jews in Iran.
Probably, but that's irrelevant.
yeah,
So
that
it's
would-
like in Srebrenica, right? During that war, that was the one place where they decided, yeah, that was a genocide. Okay. There were Bosniak Muslims in other parts of Bosnia, right? Not just in Srebrenica, that were killed.
I mean,
But
how
that
mu-
one in Srebrenica was the only one that was considered a genocide because it actually feels like all the prerequisites of a genocide,
So,
right? Because when you're
Sierra-
talking about genocide, it's a very specialized definition, right, in international law. It's not like anytime you're killing some people, it's a genocide. That's not the point, right? It needs to
Yeah.
meet some criteria. And the thing
Yes.
is like with what Israel is doing right now in Gaza, it fits the criteria of a genocide, right? Yeah, it's still bad. It's still an apartheid system that they have in the West Bank, and under certain circumstances, you could even make a case that maybe it's a genocide, but it's not a clear-cut thing. Like what's happening now in Gaza, it's a very clear-cut thing, and it starts to become very obvious for a lot of people that were previously like on the fence or like even denying.
yeah, like I was
a
on the
genocide in
fence
Gaza.
about it, Sierra, and it's just gotten so bad to where it's like, wait, I don't think I can justify this anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
and
so
look, it's
there's
like one of the
starving-
most
there's people
'cause you-
starving
you
to
actually
death,
pointed
and
this
both
out.
sides are blaming each other for not delivering food to people who need it. And it's like, I mean,
no, but
at
it's
the
not
end of
even
the
that,
day,
'cause,
Israel is the one that is assisting with that, right? Like obviously they
Sierra
clearly
actually
are blocking it.
had a point earlier that was good. It's about intent. Yeah, and yes, it's like this is one of the hardest things to actually prove when it comes to genocide is the intent, right? Because you could literally
Oh,
do something that kills like two
Hey,
people
Pokey, how you doing, buddy?
and can still be technically considered a genocide due to the intent that you're doing,
okay.
right?
So, yeah.
And the thing is like when
I-
it comes to the intent, it's so like the evidence, it's so overwhelming, right? Because the officials, the Israeli officials, did not hide for a second, right? Because
So-
they feel like they can act with impunity because they have the U.S. backing them 24/7, and because of
So-
that, they felt safe in clearly and unequivocally stating their intent.
yeah. So
I
let
disagree.
me if you just give me a few minutes, I would like to make like a series of really deliberate qualifications followed by a couple of points. Okay, so first of all, I'm not like the biggest fan of Israel in general. I think that if you know the history of the region, like they share a substantial amount of the blame for like the current situation that we're in. If anybody argues against that, like they're a shill for like they're just an Israeli shill basically, right? I think we can agree on that. Like what Israel has been doing historically in the West Bank is pretty fucked. They need to any like path forward to like any lasting peace in that region has to involve Israel cutting that shit out, right? And there has been like a lot of really, really bad rhetoric from Israeli leaders, right? Rhetoric that you would say is like genocidal in nature. I totally agree with that. Um, but when we look at like actually the facts on the ground in Gaza, I think that there's plenty of reason to point out that like, hey, it seems like Israel is doing some things that we don't like, right? So some of those things might be, um, you know, working off of targeting intel that seems to be in many cases dubious at best, having an overly cavalier attitude towards civilian collateral, um, things like that. We've witnessed pretty big fuck ups, right? Like when they had that strike on the World Chef Kitchen convoy and like shit kind of in that same vein, right? All of those things are super bad. And I think, and as we know, like charges have actually been officially levied. There's probably a number of different instances where we can look at individual actions and be like, yeah, this is either probably or definitely like this is a war crime, right? But when we're talking about genocide and we're invoking like that highly special intent to specifically like eliminate the Gazan population, I just don't think we see it. And the reason why we don't see it is because because it's just like such a mixed bag, because for every instance of like some really, really sketchy strike that ends up creating like a lot of civilian casualties, we see Israel routinely engaging as a matter of policy in a lot of other things that are, either intentionally crafted or at the very least crafted to have the appearance of trying to mitigate like civilian casualties, right? So
So
like
hold on, Sierra.
Israel does
Like,
roof
why
knocking,
did they?
dropping.
Why did they send
Yes.
everybody to Rafah saying it was safe and then bomb it shortly after?
So
No,
Rafah
that's
the
not.
city
I
has
mean,
never
I
been. So
remember they
Rafah
had
the
this
city
weapon
has never
pause, and then
been like an
Hamas was sending
officially.
rockets.
I'm grabbing this
Well, I'm actually
information from Reuters, right? I'm not pulling this like out of my ass.
Yeah. So as far like my understanding is, from the beginning of the current conflict, there's been one officially designated safe zone, and it's basically like a stretch of the coastline over by what's that area called? Al Masawi or something like that. I forget exactly the name, but that's like the Rafah. Like, yeah, Israel said like, hey, like we're organizing and like we're directing our efforts towards basically conducting warfare in the northern part of the Gaza Strip. That's what we're doing. That's our plan. So like, if that's going to be the hot zone, right? So everybody who's a civilian, you should evacuate towards the south. That's what they told them. They were never told that like
And then they bombed the
Rafah is
south.
absolutely. They never told like them that like, hey, go to Rafah
Do
and
you understand if you
you'll
tell
be
them
No,
to
safe.
no,
go to
that's
the
literally what
south?
they do.
Hold on, if you
What they
tell
did.
them to go south and then they bomb the south, what am I supposed to get out of that?
Because like they were bombing the north more, so like even if they bombed the south,
I'm
like the south is
saying that
safer than the
was an
north.
area that was supposed to be safe, and then they bomb it.
I mean, none of it's safe. They're fighting Hamas, and Hamas is all throughout
No,
Gaza.
they literally
What?
designated it as a safe area.
They
No, no,
said
no.
it was
It's like you
safe.
can't dodge away from this. They literally said this is a safe area. This is an area we are not going to bomb at all. Okay, so it's like you can go here and it's fine here, and then it's not fine. And I'm sorry, it's like you can say that they're trying to not kill civilian population. That's not true. There's enough Israeli documentation, right, from Israeli newspapers and investigations where they're clearly we can clearly see exactly how much they care about the civilian population. They don't, right? The thing is, it's like if they care so much about the Palestinians, it's like, can you tell me why they destroyed like all the universities in Gaza? It's like, why would they do that? Because they were not Hamas
Yeah.
centered. They had nothing to do with Hamas. They would
Well,
have
how do you-
nothing to do with anything.
Well, how do you know
Why
that?
How do
Well,
we know
I mean,
that?
like,
They literally filmed
Yeah,
it themselves.
because
Just a second,
Hamas,
Amanda.
because we
No, no,
know
no,
what Hamas
no, no, no.
does, right?
No, no,
because
no.
Hamas
It's like,
is like a
because
guerrilla
every
insurgent.
time they do something bad, they just have Hamas. Oh, it's Hamas. We did this. Oh, it's Hamas. No, it's not. This is the problem. And the
I mean,
problem
you
is
say
that
that super
they literally
confidently, but how do you
film
know that?
themselves. because they filmed themselves destroying that fucking university. It's a university. Just like with the hospitals, they did the same thing with the hospitals. They said, "Oh, this is the Hamas main center, right, or whatever the fuck they said it was." And then they produced zero evidence that
Well,
that was a
they got
Hamas
bad
center.
intel on that one. Like they were certain
no,
about it.
yeah,
Like,
but
they
you
did
see,
think
every
that
time
that was the
there's-
case. But like with
Yeah,
that
but
being
every time
said, like
there's
it
like an
does appear to
excuse,
be
right?
like that they're killing a bunch
Isn't
of
it?
people. Like it's just kind of ridiculous.
So that's why
Yeah,
they're
but,
digging
like,
up like and
anyway,
destroying
I wanted to
cemeteries
see if
in
we can go
Gaza
back
because of
about
Hamas.
I wanted to see if we can go back to talking about Trump. Like if we could, like we can. I don't know. We can like go back on this topic, I guess. But like,
Well, can I just like respond to a couple of the things real quick?
sure.
Because like
just
I
also
understand
wanted to
all
add
that you're
something.
saying, and I'm still, like trying to look at this conflict with as sober a mind as I can. But like for every instance of you're saying like, oh, they did this strike, a lot of people died, and it's we have X, Y, and Z reason to suspect that they're intentionally targeting civilians. And it's like, okay, that might be true. But then on the flip side, previously throughout different eras of this conflict and today, we see the IDF like as a matter of policy doing things like deploying low yield roof knocking charges, making directed calls to buildings, sending out mass PSA texts to warn civilians to evacuate, like all of those things too. And like maybe you could argue they're not doing that enough, but like I would say that at least
No,
shows
I don't
that
think
like
that's an.
they
I
can't.
don't think that's
How is
something that can
how is that
excuse
genocidal
their.
intent if they're doing all those things?
Okay, it's like, do you think everything they're doing like reveals the genocidal intent? It's like you can't say, oh, this is not a genocidal intent when they said this because they did this other thing, which is not a genocidal thing. It's like, no, look, I can do 20 things which are not genocidal and one thing that is genocidal. You understand? It doesn't. Those 20 don't excuse the one. That's not how it works. It's like it's never gonna work like that, right?
Well, I mean, I
I'm
understand, and I
sorry.
can
I'm kind of
definitely
sorry.
see
I
how
want
like
also like
Israel
to
is
be also add something here. I'm on Sierra's side. I didn't see like that there's any intention for actually a suicide. I mean, like when you're bombing a city, you're always counting with heavy civil casualties. I mean, like there's no way away from that is like that they were not expecting high casualties. That's happening when you're bombing like an area which is that crowded like that with such a high population. At the same time, when I'm thinking of a genocide, I'm thinking like of the killing of the Armenians, like through the Osmanic Empire, where they actually intentionally go there to wipe out a population, where they go in there with their own hands and smashing the heads of
Can you tell
children and
me?
women.
Can you tell me? Can you give me the
Don't get me
definition of
wrong. Like
genocide?
Palestinians would be in the wrong in the sense that like that they are the ones that initiated, but that doesn't mean therefore like that gives right for the Israelis to kill as many civilians as physically possible. Like to me, like when I'm sitting here and I'm seeing the areas of the West Bank by UN charters are supposed to be Palestinian territory, and they're like invading those areas and taking those for Jewish land against the UN charters, mind you, and that they're going to like Gaza and they're telling people to go into a specific region only for them to like bomb that. What am I supposed to think? It just doesn't
You're
seem
supposed to.
logical.
What you're supposed to think,
me, the
Amanda. What
UN
you're supposed to think is that,
the
like,
UN is
I
kind
think it's important to. I think it's important to realize the context of like that this conflict is happening in. Like, we know what Hamas
I
is.
understand
We know
guerrilla
how they-
warfare. Like I get it.
Right,
I'm
but
just
like,
saying
but,
like
but
that
like,
doesn't give you like a like I don't even like think about it like in terms of the Nazis, right? Like the Nazis are involving in guerrilla warfare and then they all like run to Rafah. Does that mean like, hey, let's bomb all the civilians there too? Like it just doesn't make any sense.
No, but
It's
not
just
even
like
that. We
needless
should just
death.
look at.
No, it doesn't mean
Okay,
that you
we should
have,
we
like,
should
carte
just look at
blanche
the
to go
definition
intentionally-
of the genocide in international law. That's all we have to do, right? And we need to look at what the key elements, right, when describing a genocide. So I'm just going to read you, okay? So it's like there's like five
I
things,
know
right,
the
in the definition
definition.
of genocide.
I know the definition. It's not necessary.
cool.
I think what you're missing here is the
I don't
highly
think
sexual
actually,
intent.
I don't think Magnus actually knows it. But the thing is, like the key elements is like intent, right? There has to be the intent. The intent has to be very clear, right? That they're trying to destroy the group, and that's something that this is the hardest thing to prove usually in a genocide case. In this instance, this is the easiest to prove, right? Because there's so many so many statements from so many high-level officials in Israel, right? Starting with the president, prime minister, minister of defense, minister of exterior, right? It's so easy. It's like it's not even. It's a joke to try to prove it, right? The intent, because it's so easy. Second one is like all the acts that they're doing have to be targeted to a specific ethnic group in this instance, which it is, right? And the acts, right, must be aimed at destroying the group's ability to survive as a distinct entity in the specific land, which again is what's happening, right? And they're all linked together from the intent, right? That's why the intent is very, very important, right? That's why it's the most important thing to actually determine. And that's why, for example, that's why I brought the Bosnian War, because in Bosnia, despite the fact that there were other cities where more Muslims, actually Bosnian Muslims died, right? And overall more Bosnian Muslims died. In Srebrenica, that's why that was the one instance where it was said, yeah, this was a genocide, because all these three things, right, were present there, just like they are present right now in Gaza.
But the
And yes, we
IDF
will
just
not have,
recently
we
moved
will not
into-
have
Yeah, you made
final
that point,
verdict
dude.
for like 2 years or so, right?
Can we
my
just have like
ICJ
one at a time?
actually
Like seriously,
pronounces
like we don't need to like be yelling at each other, especially like during recording.
And
Like we should be able to like go
I mean,
back
I
and
was-
forth.
I really
Well,
don't like,
like-
it that I was never.
like the
I mean, can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay, for me, it's kind of like VN is like not what it was anymore since 1993. I always forgetting his name. He's a leader of the Palestinian Hamas something. I don't remember his name. He was
You mean
really
Arafat?
Arafat. He was speaking in
Yeah,
front
he
of
was
the
not
UN.
he was not part
And-
of Hamas. He was from the PLO.
Okay, but he was like speaking in front of the UN, and the UN decided like we're like getting a new resolution out about like that Israel has to dismantle themselves kind of way, and Israel reacting on this UN resolution with "go and fuck yourself," like literally to the UN, and I think since then like kind of the resolutions are kind of useless because when no one is
But
following
they should at
them,
least
then-
honor the like the resolutions, like that's the UN resolution. That's the
that's-
thing that even gave Israeli land to the Jews to begin with.
Exactly. I mean, it's
So
like
like
you can't just
have
say
to
the
follow
UN
that. If you
is
don't
the
follow
Jew,
that,
'cause it's
then
not.
okay, well then like Israel could absolutely be in the wrong here.
I just
mean,
think
But
like
when you
for-
look, I mean, when you're looking at the 1993 resolution by Arafat, that when they say like Israel has to dismantle and give land back to
I don't
like,
think I don't think Arafat said that Israel needs to be dismantled, but that's
no,
another
the
thing.
resolution came.
No,
to
the
that.
resolution also didn't say that, because the UN resolution didn't say we need to disband Israel as a state, because it
I mean,
was a
I
UN
had it
resolution
before.
that
I
actually
had it-
created the state of Israel. So I think you're just mistaken there. I don't know.
But
I don't know
just
what you're
try to
talking about.
Remember something that's 10 years ago what we had in school, okay?
Yeah, yeah, but I think you're like mistaken about that. I don't think there was ever such a resolution.
Googled
All the resolutions that happened at the UN were about Israel actually abiding by other UN resolutions that were saying, thou shalt have no settlements in the West Bank, which they constantly said, yeah, we kind of like those settlements, and we're gonna keep doing more of them because, yeah, what you gonna do about it? Nothing, because we have the US on our side.
Well, going back to like the Gaza thing, right? Like, I can totally, it's hard to say absolutely for sure because like I don't have an inside perspective on like the IDF's intel and their targeting procedures and all of this stuff, right? Which I think is important to acknowledge. But I think we can see the results on the ground and say like, okay, we can have like a pretty reasonable assessment and looking especially on like several examples especially the more famous examples that we all know about, where it's like Israel is either committing war crimes or they're like seriously fucking up, right? But then you see, like, for instance, just now, recently, with their incursion into Rafah, like the IDF went through like a lot of effort to evacuate like over 1 million civilians from that city prior to their
Where?
invasion into the city.
Where?
Out.
Where?
I don't
Out
know
where?
where?
Out
but, like,
where? No, out where? Because it's
Out
like
to
you're
where
saying
they wouldn't
they
get
tried
killed.
out to where. No, there's nowhere where they have to go. It's like you need to understand. It's like there's no
Right,
other
but if
place
it's a
to go.
genocide, then why don't they just kill them all there? They didn't do that.
I mean, the fact
As
that
I'm
they're
telling you,
collecting them
because-
all into a
Oh my
specific
God.
area to then bomb, it's telling me, yeah, that does appear quite
The fact
genocidal.
that they're not killing all of them doesn't mean it's not a genocide. In
That
your
is
head,
also
you have this
correct.
idea that the only thing that makes a genocide is if you kill everybody. That's not the case. That's
Yeah,
why
but
when
it's
I
really
asked you about
weird
the
to
definition
me.
of a genocide, you said, "Oh, I know it." Well, you clearly don't because you keep saying
Yeah,
the
I
same thing.
do.
No, you do, you,
No, I
you
do
clearly
know
don't.
it, but it's just
Because the amount of people
if you're
being
trying
killed
to
does not a
genocide
genocide make.
population, why are you going through all of this effort to evacuate over 1 million civilians so they don't get killed during your operation in Rafah?
I mean, were the Jews
What's the
ever
point of that?
evacuated in the past? And then put into spaces only to
I mean,
kill
like
them?
when the Germans marched
Why
into
would they spend all that time trying to move all those people?
Well, like when the Germans marched into
Like-
Stalingrad or Warsaw, did they like go through great effort to evacuate like all of the civilian population? No, they just
Warsaw.
fucking
That reminds me of,
rounded
put them
them
in
up and they
ghettos,
filled
like,
mass
it's
graves with their
obvious.
bodies.
Wasn't there like a specific place in Warsaw where they actually put them before they actually did that? I mean, again, it's like you keep conflating this thing. Why aren't they killing all of them? And saying like, oh, that's the only way it would be a genocide even
So-
if they killed all of them.
But
The
no,
part,
no, no,
so
no,
Sierra,
no,
This
no,
would
no,
is
you
no,
this is
no, no,
agree-
amazing.
No. Hold on, no. Let me respond to that real quick. No, it's not. It's not about that they're not killing all of them. That's not the point. The point is not that they're not killing all of them. The point is that it seems like they're actually going through a lot of effort to mitigate civilian casualties by evacuating them out of an active combat zone that they're about to do an operation in. That's what it is.
Except
not that
they
they're not
don't
killing
really
all
do
of them.
that. Except that when you're
But they
looking
literally
at
did just now.
except that when you're looking at actually what the officials are saying, when you're looking at what the soldiers on the ground are saying, because they all have fucking TikToks and they're all just like they're very happy at doing TikToks and laughing at beheaded Palestinian babies, right? And it's so funny. It's so funny to laugh at the Palestinian beheaded babies,
they're like
right, by their
19-year-old
bombs,
soldiers,
right?
dude. They're
And every
out
time
there.
something happens that is bad, it's like, oh, oops, it was our bad. No, first of all, it wasn't us. Second, it's like, maybe it was us, but we don't know. It's like, oh, it was us, but it was actually Hamas provoked us. And it's like, well, actually, it was us, but it was a mistake. And it's like, it was us, but what you gonna do? People are gonna die,
Right,
right?
I'm gonna
and it's all
let-
good.
I'm
It's
gonna-
like
I'm-
every time Palestinians dies, it's fine. You know, it happens, man.
Oh my God, please. I'm going to let Sierra have the last word. I'm going to move everybody off the stage, okay? If that's okay. Go ahead, Sierra.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can like look at what's going on in Israel. I think that there's like a lot of criticisms to make at what they're doing right now and historically leading up to this situation. I think that Israel needs to change a lot of what they do if any lasting peace in the region is going to be had. But I think that like when you look at their operation against, Hamas in Gaza, first of all, I think that they're justified in going after Hamas, but I think we need to appreciate how difficult this situation is. Like if we just for a minute, for the sake of argument, just assume that the IDF has like the most legitimate intentions, right? And they're going after Hamas. If we just assume that for the sake of argument, you have to consider what the situation is. Like we know what Hamas is. They are a guerrilla insurgency force that we know operates out of civilian infrastructure, intentionally uses human shields, blends in with the civilian population, and follows them wherever they go. And when you're in a situation like that, the ability of that kind of asymmetrical warfare in an urban area, the ability of like a modernized, westernized military like IDF to engage in things like distinction and discrimination and assessing proportionality when it comes to specific targets and gathering the intel that's necessary for conducting that proportionality. It almost becomes like an impossible task. And maybe the answer to that is that Israel just has to accept that they're not going to be able to accomplish their goal because the civilian cost to that is too high. But like I think that that's what's really going on, and I think that like you can make the argument that Israel is engaging in war crimes. They're engaging in an overly cavalier attitude towards civilian collateral, and the rhetoric at the top of their leadership is in many cases unhinged. But I just think when you look at the actual facts on the ground and you see what's going on, it can be really bad, and we can say that Israel needs to stop it. But I just don't think that it rises to the level of genocide. I think there's too many counterexamples of Israel acting in a way where they're clearly trying, in many instances, to mitigate civilian casualties, and like it just doesn't make any sense if their intent is actually genocide, they would be
You,
doing
you
that.
can believe you can believe
Hold on, I
exactly
was
what
gonna
you
let
want.
him have the last word, so I'm gonna stop it right there, okay?